In order to understand the value of you getting returns on your investments, self-betrayal has to be put to bed. It has to be put to rest. Hello, Capricorn. My name is Kristen Simone Hansen, and welcome to SeaGoatsecrets. Okay, so Capricorn, in this video you are going to get a full rundown of the Year of the Dragon and how it relates back to you with your Capricorn placements. If you would like to expand on this energy and get a deeper understanding of yourself, the Year of the Dragon, the 8th year, and how it all applies to you and how to best utilize this energy, join the Healing Circle. That link can be found in the link below and also here. And you guys know I'm a global citizen and I like to connect with all of you on a worldly and global level. So drop in the comments where you're listening from, because you know I want to connect and understand. Now, let's get into this. So, hello, welcome all Capricorn placements. This is a bit of a brief video, but I wanted to touch on the Year of the Dragon and how it is applying to you guys right now, 8th year, etc. In terms of what it is that is moving through you subconsciously. So after that Leo full moon that I was talking about, awakening your shadow and bringing you into your 8th house that took place in the end of January, we welcomed that 2-week time period. You were in your closet, you were in your shadow. A lot of things became unearthed, a lot of emotions, a lot of feelings. Also, it could be memories of difficult things, things that put you in a place that didn't feel good emotionally. Then we welcomed the Aquarius new moon. So what is the combination of these two things? Leo brought you into your 8th house and pushed you into the dark in order to make it so that you had to address these things, clean out that closet to welcome the new beginning. The Aquarius new moon awakened you to the possibilities of what it is that you can have, mainly because it has been pouring self-worth into you, pouring into you self-actualization, self-love, self-clarity. But on the other side, and you guys know I always talk about the yin with the yang, the more you grow to love yourself, the more awareness you have of the times when you did not. So what has been going on in your subconscious mind is the things that put you in a place where you had to fight bloody battles. The kind of battles that left you in a space where you were damaged, where you were hurt, where you were wounded. A lot of things around self-betrayal. With you and your Capricorn placements, one of the things that you guys do the most is resilience. And resilience is pretty much what you're known for. Your strength is rooted in that. And resilience and refinement are one and the same for you. So the more resilient you are, the more refined you become, the more you lean into becoming that creature, that character that no one ever deemed possible from your very, very beginnings, and you in your youth, and then you have to climb this mountain and go through hell and reach heaven and go through all of these dynamics to become something that was a part of your dream state when you were very young. And the way that that is achieved is through resilience, bringing forth refinement. But the issue there is you guys can take things to a place where you push your resilience far beyond its comfort zone. You can be the kind of resilient people that lean on it too much to a place where you betray yourself. And that's why this video is centered around self-betrayal. And it's kind of piggybacking off of the Soul Ties video. So if you have not seen that, I know not everyone is interested in love in that sense, but I touch on and speak on the sacral chakra. And I'll bring it here just in case you don't catch that video. But sacral chakra healing is such a big thing because it's wrapped around things like shame and, again, self-betrayal. When you betray yourself to honor someone else or honor the collective, or hand yourself or your personal power over to another person, you are doing so because you feel like you don't deserve to be in a certain position, or you don't deserve to put yourself first. You're betraying yourself for either the greater good or for another person. Sometimes expecting them to compromise themselves at the same rate could have been out of fear, it could have been out of with you guys, while Pluto was in your sign, there was a lot of things wrapped around the ground being ripped from underneath you. There was a lot of things wrapped around instability in some way, shape, or form. So you could have practiced a lot of self-betrayal because of fear of retaliation, fear of instability, feeling like you were powerless. And power is a big thing for you as a Capricorn, because being powerful is your way. Power is you. You are power. So when power is taken away from you, oftentimes you feel so docile and helpless to a point where you'll compromise or sacrifice. You go into the sacrificial goat energy, where you make yourself very meek in order to cope or get along, go along to get along, do whatever it is that you need to do to make it so that your stability isn't being threatened, which put you in positions where this could have showed up on the outside, where it could have been other people putting you in these positions, your finances putting you in these positions, your circumstances, your environment. It was showing up externally, where it was constantly this feeling of instability. And why was that taking place? Was because Pluto was constantly trying to change you, redirect you, put you through various things so that you can align yourself properly, especially for those of you who have Scorpio midheavens or Scorpio Rahus. This was a big, Capricorn Sun in the 8th house. This was a big thing for you in terms of stability. Also Capricorn rising as well. Capricorn rising, a lot of things wrapped around your stability, trying to gain your own footing, and things feeling like at every turn something was threatening you. I'll go down the list actually to discuss this energy. So if your Capricorn placement is in the 1st house, it could have been wrapped around your identity, you yourself. So something about you being a threat to your own stability. It could be people feeling like you were someone that they needed to compete with or take down. When it comes to your Capricorn placement being in the 2nd house, it could have been a situation where your literal finances or your self-worth or your self-value was what was being threatened. So people, places, or things threatening your ability to get what it is that you deserve, having the basic necessities. You could have also seen yourself dealing with things like hunger, homelessness, some kind of dealing with the dynamics where it felt like things that you should have had were taken away from you, and people or things threatening your self-value, not wanting you to value yourself. Sorry, I am feeling a little unstable, so I'm trying to ground myself more. So we have, if your Capricorn placement was in the 3rd house, a lot of things wrapped around gossip, a lot of things, situations where gossip could have been the reason why you were taken out of a workplace environment. It could have been the reason why someone would take away your resources, or you were fired, or something pertaining to your family that would then result in a lack of stability, or you not being intellectually capable, or someone making it seem like you weren't intellectually capable. If your Capricorn placement is in the 4th house, your family directly could be responsible for what was going on with your stability. So it could have been you trying to, you could have had a child where you were a single parent. It also could be a scenario where your actual family was creating the kind of burden for you, where they were constantly putting you in positions where you could not feel stable or stabilize yourself, or your family dynamic that you created for yourself was always dealing with some kind of instability. Again, homelessness, or an inability to provide for yourself and your family, or your family itself could have kicked you out or made you feel very restricted and incapable of standing on your own. If you have Capricorn in the 5th house, your identity could have taken up a lot of space, and so you could have been someone who was given a lot of spotlight, whether you wanted it or not, and being in that spotlight became a source of a shadow. So various situations where people tried to take your spotlight away from you, take your creativity away from you, telling you that your creative energy was not enough, and then you not being able to generate through your creativity. So your work, or whatever it is that you're passionate about, not being a way for you to create stability or financial stability for yourself, and pursuing it being the thing that put you in burdens or unstable environments. If you are a Capricorn with your placements in the 6th house, then you were up against a lot of enemies. So you literally were just attracting enemies, people who wanted to take you down, people who wanted to see you fall, people who would, present themselves as enemies to you and compete, similar to Capricorn in the 1st house, but much worse in a sense where instead of just competition for competition's sake, these people would compete with you and seek to be your enemies, to be people that wanted to take you out. If you have Capricorn placements in the 7th house, then your relationships were a space where instability found you. So having the kind of partners that exercise some kind of financial dominance over you, some kind of financial control or stability-based control, someone being able to rip the ground from underneath you due to your relationship with them. If you have Capricorn in the 8th house, similar kind of to the 6th house and the 7th house in one. So this is a deep, shadowy area. So it could have been maybe you were being called to divination work, but you came from a very religious family. It could have been that you had to hide your divination and it being the thing that you did in order to make you finances or money. You could have been thrown out of different environments because of your call to the occult or your call to divination. Also sexual exploitation, feeling like you maybe had to sexually exploit yourself to find stability, or that you were being exploited wrapped around your looks or your sexuality, in terms of someone feeling like they had power over you when it came to your stability. If you had Capricorn in the 9th house, it could have been scenarios where your belief systems were threatening the system around you. So similar in terms of religions or your practices, being able to shape your reality. So being thrown out of a church, being thrown out of your personal environment, so your community, being a space that either made you feel tied down, or you constantly having to leave and go to another place, another city, another town in order to gain some kind of stability, but trying to start over and not having enough footing. If your Capricorn placements were in the 10th house, then your career and the way you showed up in the world was constantly giving you a feeling of instability. So your career could have been very difficult to attain. Your reputation constantly was going through extreme debauchery. People could have been speaking about you in very negative ways, and it causing you a lot of instability in terms of trying to gain something for yourself. 11th house, your communities, your social dynamics could have been a source of a lot of trauma. So trying to gain social networks, trying to find the right friends or the right colleagues or the right people to speak to, then being a victim to, similar to Capricorn, a victim to gossip or reputation ruining, people not wanting to work with you, or people using their social networks to burden you or to go against you, keeping people away from you that could help you, things like that. Or you needing to master social media and not necessarily working for you, you're kind of being hidden. And lastly, if your Capricorn placements were in the 12th house, then it could have been situations where you were constantly dealing with manipulation, people creating illusions around you and illusions around your identity. Another thing going on with gossip as well, people literally just making up who it is that you are, what it is that you believe, how it is that you think. A lot of you could have been dealing with the kind of gaslighting that was so extreme that it made it so that you stood in your own way, and again, instability in some way, shape, or form. Yeah, so there's that. And so these are the things that have been testing you and trying you throughout the Capricorn-Pluto transit. And yes, the Pluto transit has transitioned and it's gone, but we will see it again at the end of this year. So as we're now in the new Aqua era, things are much lighter, your energy is lighter, your emotions are lighter, you're feeling this energy, but at the same time, you're feeling very, very weighed down and in a deep shadow about your past. And this brings me back to the year of the dragon for you being about releasing self-betrayal and saying goodbye to self-betrayal. Because when it comes to all of these dynamics, the things that could have threatened your stability made it so that you put yourself in a position where you chimed into that resilience in order to survive things, in order to be okay with things, in order to keep yourself together or keep moving. But the problem with that is you learned to betray yourself because of your own strength. And you guys have to unlearn that. So the shadows of the past that are haunting you right now, the grief, the anger, the pain, the frustration, again, depending on where your houses were and what it is you dealt with. Another thing with Capricorn, the 8th house, is you could have also dealt with a lot of death, a lot of people leaving your life. So all of these things that you have dealt with, they're in the back of your mind, mainly in the front of your mind right now, because Aquarius is trying to heal you, but as it's healing you, in order to do so, healing is not always pretty, as I always say. So as this water gets poured into you, this new fresh water is being poured into you, all of these things that have been sitting underneath the surface are coming up, right? Because it's when you pour into a cup, right, that already has things inside of it, what is flowing out is what you're seeing. As the fresh water goes in, the old or dirty water is on its way out. And so all of these things are being exposed to you. These memories, these feelings, these pains, these difficulties are finding themselves. And you're angry and you're frustrated, or you're dealing with this shadow. But it's there in order to get you to understand how not to betray yourself again. And you're rethinking your memories in the sense of seeing where your personal power could have been exercised, or how you were, again, dealing with some kind of betrayal externally, and then in order to respond to it, you betrayed yourself in the process. And so now as you're going through this intense self-worth renewal, this intense self-value, self-love renewal, you are saying to yourself that you will not do what it is that you've done before. You will not tolerate this kind of almost like this feeling of feeling forgotten by the universe. In that sense, you don't want to go through these feelings again. And as the shadow of the past is kind of lurking over you, it's putting you in a dark place. And this has happened since the Leo new moon, or the Leo full moon, and the Aqua moon came in and kind of amplified it, because it poured into self-worth. So instead of just dealing with the shadows and just for the shadow's sake, the self-worth made it so that now dealing with the shadows are creating an emotional reaction of frustration, grief, sadness, anger, because you will not do what you did back then, or the new you cannot tolerate the idea of what the old you went through. So that is what's happening in terms of the healing process. And throughout this year, you're going to be going through a lot of things when it comes to, as I've spoken about in the past, karma. We're in the 8th year, so what goes around comes around, vindication, different things like that. But in order to put yourself in that position, or in order to understand the value of you getting returns on your investments, self-betrayal has to be put to bed. It has to be put to rest. It's understanding that resilience is not always the response to things that you're dealing with that are difficult. And through self-love and self-worth, you have to learn how to put yourself first in such an extreme light that everything, anything else on the outside comes second. And so it'll stop this constant feeling of feeling like you're the last one picked. But a lot of that has to do with the way you've been overly responsible and giving too much airtime to people and things that are around you. And it's difficult. This is not an easy thing. Think of the years of the dragon as coming into you and saying, I will not take it anymore, or this will not go on any longer. But in order to awaken to stopping a pattern, you have to get mad first. You have to get frustrated first. You have to feel defeated first. You have to understand that only at the bottom can you give yourself the kind of self-love and the kind of self-renewal that is happening with all of these Aquarius placements and will be happening during the Aquarius Pluto, all throughout Pluto, is big for your self-love, your self-worth. And you're getting this, and it's pouring into you, and it starts with you changing the way you navigate your life so that you're not dealing with the same things that you once dealt with. You're no longer in a space of powerlessness, especially now that Pluto is gone. And it's about understanding that personal power and kind of, again, using that intense energy or the fire of that dragon in order to say self-betrayal is no longer. So that's kind of what you're dealing with now. Throughout February, you're in the middle of this, and I kind of mentioned this in the February monthly reading, so check that out. We're moving into the 3rd week where you're going to be dealing with some things around a person in power, things around finances, renewal in finances. So we're moving to the end of this month. And then we're going into March. So continue to work through this energy, continue to work through the shadow, and understand that it's meant to build you stronger. It's meant to frustrate you in order so that you no longer are tight-lipping things. You're no longer silencing things or just taking things, okay? So, just wanted to mention that. I love you. Ciao.